everyone. Today we are making a rhubarb and lentil curry. So I've just started with 4 cloves of garlic. We use pre-mince, but otherwise just mince it finely. And then 2 cups of green onions. If you don't have green onions, feel free to use regular onions, whatever type of onion you have on hand. But you'll want about 2 cups of onions with a couple tablespoons of oil. We used avocado oil. You can use whatever cooking oil you prefer. Just kind of simmer this. You can see it's starting to break down the green onions a little bit. Some of the garlic's getting a little bit golden, so just want to simmer it for a little bit. Then we'll go ahead and add a few other things. So we'll add about 1.5 cups of rhubarb, and I'll put this down in the video description or in the blog post, as well as 2 teaspoons of sugar, 2 teaspoons cinnamon, 2 tablespoons of garam masala, half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and then we'll go on to the rest of it. So I'm going to break quick just so that I can set down the added your spices and your rhubarb. You can just give this a quick stir here. Lightly coat everything. You can see I'm using frozen rhubarb. You can use fresh or frozen. Obviously, frozen compacts down a little bit more. So rather than 1.5 cups, if you're using fresh, I would up that to at least 2. But again, we're just going to kind of get this, you can see, just lightly mixed in. Then we'll continue by adding 1.5 cups of vegetable stock, chicken stock, whatever you have. I'm using a chicken stock, so I'm going to add 1.5 cups of water, as well as 1.5 teaspoons of bouillon. And then we'll follow up by adding our lentils. So I'll get this in and then we'll add our lentils. By adding your vegetable stock. We are actually using a prepackaged bouillon, so we're going to add 3 cups of water, as well as 3 teaspoons of our vegetable stock. And I already threw the stock in there just to save time, but then we'll follow that up by adding our lentils. And you'll add around 2 cups of lentils, and you want to raise this up to a boil. And once it boils, you'll want to just reduce it and simmer it for about 15 minutes. And once we do that, we can add our spinach and coriander and serve. So we're going to add the rest of our lentils here, and then just bring this up to a boil and simmer it. We'll check back in before we add the spinach and coriander. Let this kind of simmer down. You can see it's a fairly dry looking mixture here. Last thing to add will be about 4 ounces of fresh spinach. The bags usually come in about 8 ounces, so judge accordingly, about half of one of those bags, or you can use frozen spinach. That's just rough chopped. And I also put a 1/2 cup of cilantro or coriander leaf, depending on where you're watching this. But again, just kind of rough chop that. I just combined everything for ease. But we'll put that in and we'll just simmer it long enough to wilt all the leaves, and then serve it over rice or with naan bread. We're doing just plain rice, but both are delicious. Again, we'll just mix this in, and you can always garnish with more cilantro or some chives, fresh green onion, anything like that. So this is a wonderful vegetarian dish. If you choose, you can use vegetable stock and make it completely vegan. If you need more protein, you can always serve some sort of meat on top of it. But it is a great kind of meatless Monday. Lots of great protein in there, as well as some of your greens. So again, just let this simmer until it is all wilted down, and then we'll serve it over rice. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out our blog.